Before going forward, I'd like you also to introduce two of our guest speakers here. Uh, Mr. Ashish Sahu, he's a senior solution specialist, data and AI at Microsoft. He'll be giving you a walkthrough of the Fabric, how it works, the agents, the co-pilot for Power BI. We also have our uh, in-house developer. She's a senior Power BI developer, Pooja Jaiswal, in the call. She's giving you a basic idea of what Fabric is, what are the components, right? How are the various use cases around for different industries, conjured around this specific solution. Some of the basic examples. We also have a few case studies, licensing models. Apart from that, most people are confused with the pricing. How does the pricing work? Will it be pay-as-you-go model? What will be the billing? And we'll be answering those questions as well uh, at the end. So I'd like to hand it over to Pooja Jaiswal.
Yeah, myself, Pooja Jaiswal. I'm a senior Power BI developer at Cloud9, having more than 3.5 years of experience in data and analytics. So also I'm a certified Power BI developer through Microsoft. So we can just have a look like now we can move to the next slide and we can start looking at like how and what is Microsoft Fabric is. So let's proceed further. So like most of the organization in today's world juggles between data lakes, ETL tools, warehouses, and visuals for the dashboards and everything. So the Microsoft Fabric is basically answers to this challenge. What it does, it connects all your data analytical platform at one place. That means it unifies everything: data integration, engineering, science, warehousing, real-time analytics, and even the business intelligence in a single SaaS experience. So you can consider it's like the Swiss Army knife for the data professionals. One platform, one experience, one lake to be very precise. Okay. Next. So here we can see what all different components are available under Microsoft Fabric, which is why it is like called a single platform to all the components. You can see Power BI for the, reporting, Data Factory, Data Activator, Synapse Data Engineering, Data Science, Real-Time Analytics, even the warehouse. And all these are like placed under one lid. So next slide. So you may think of a fabric as a well-coordinated orchestra. Each instrument plays a role. Coming back to data factory, it is used for data ingestion and pipeline orchestration. Then data engineering, it is like a Spark-powered notebooks and transformation. Data warehouse, it is like enterprise-grade SQL analytics at scale. Then data science, like you can also use integrated machine learning models for building and training certain predictions or future perception on everything. Then the Power BI, which is basically a visual storytelling and business dashboard creation tool, and a very powerful tool for giving you all the insights. Then it is also giving you the real time analytics, like for streaming insights and telemetry. Next. So we will see like the main power of the fabric, like how it connects all your data in one place. So as you see, like it is a shared data model, like it eliminates data duplication by keeping all your data at a centralized location. Then it stores data in one lake and it can be accessed seamlessly by Power BI, Synapse, even like by all other services as well. What it does, it streamlines governance, enhance security, and fosters better collaboration across teams. You can see how it is before and how it is after fabric. So if you see like if we have certain tooling, then in tooling like you must be having disconnected tools like ETL, BI, even the storage locations and everything. But after having fabric, everything it will be under one platform. So you don't have to go for like separate ADF or other tools. you just have to go for the fabric. Even for the storage, like if you are using Excel file, SharePoint, SQL, OneDrive, or data lake. So all these are placed under one lake here. Also, like if you wanted to do certain visualization, you want to read certain data, it might take days to weeks. But in like having all those placed under one roof, you will just see like, oh, here is the data, and you can just view those at one particular place. So it will reduce your time too. Coming to the cost part, like if you have multiple decentralized tools, it is cost associated, and you have to pay different cost for the all those stuff. But if you are using fabric, you will just have to go for the fabric license, and that's it.
And it's also very scalable, like you can jump from one instance to another instead when you go to traditional licensing models, right? If you're taking multiple licenses from different vendors, they might charge you differently for increasing the capacity or changing the SKU altogether. Then you'll have to do a manual reconfiguration again. So we can omit that or eliminate that in Fabric entirely.
Yes. Yeah. So we will see next like how we can save the cost without spending much on all those tools. Yeah, here. So generally, the common pain points traditionally which all the organizations following, like they are paying for multiple ETL tools, data warehouse, BI, and then the licensing model is also very complex because you have to maintain different products altogether, and it's like very hard to decide which platform to use, which tooling tool to use for ETL, and which analytical tool to use. So like all these things are like very like you have to do certain brainstorming session to like finalize, oh, I should go this one, or I should be choosing this one. So these are like common pain points like every organization nowadays faces. So we will see the solution to this like in the next slide. So see, if we are going with the Microsoft Fabric, it is combining your data needs, transformation of the data, then storing at particular location, also the insights. So all these things are at one place. So you just have to go for the Fabric, which consolidates everything at one place, and it will give you a seamless experience because you don't have to run for the like multiple products. So, and also the billing, the cost part, it will be under one place. So you just have to bill for the one product, and it is scalable. You can just pay as you go. Like whatever you are using, you can pay for that particular thing also. Then like yeah, so everything is like we have mentioned already. Like it is giving you centralized storage, and like it is based on the SKU. So you can just start with the basic one, and then you can like increase further based on the your requirement. So it is very easy and easy to maintain actually. It is like giving you less headache compared to all other products. Yeah, next slide please. Yeah, here is the licensing model which Pushkar was mentioning earlier. Like we can have multiple licenses based on the requirement, and suppose if you're a new user, you just want to start like trying like how Fabric looks, and you can go for the free one. Very basic limited access will be given. You can just try like how Fabric works. Then the pro one, like if you want to develop certain reports and you want to share your reports across certain departments, then you can go for the next license, which is pro, which is a cost based actually. If you are from the data background, you must be knowing like how this pro license works. If not, then surely we will help you on that in the future. The second one is PPO. It is like per user based license, but it is the advanced version of the Pro. So you will get certain more features out of Pro. And the last one, which is a capacity based. So it is like at the organization level, here you will get all the features available for the Fabric. You can utilize uh, uh, Fabrics, all the functionalities at one place. It has a dedicated SKUs as mentioned, like F2, F4, F8. So based on the requirement and all the factors which is required to give like have these licenses, we can just start with the these capacities. And we have like all the factors like which is required to have this capacities to be calculated in the next slide. Please, next slide. So you can see, like, if you want to go with the certain cues for choosing like which one to use, you may consider these factors which is required, like how many users will be there for using those like licenses, um, what is the like need of the capacity, like is a large scale business or a very mid-sized organization or the small, like all those factors. Even like if you are working on the large data set or it is a very like 1 GB or 2 GB data available, so whether we should go for the fabric or not. And even type of a workload, like if you are doing for the real time analytics or data engineering, or like what is your reporting need. Also, if you're planning for your data to grow in the future or the number of users are going to be increased. So all these expectations we need to be in consideration if you want to go for the fabric. That's it. So Ashish will give you a demo on this particular thing, and we can just cover like how this. I mean, now AI is in very trend. We all must be using Chat GPT, Copilot. If you are using Microsoft, then maybe Copilot we are using. So everyone knows like how this AI is transforming in this real world. Even with the Microsoft Fabric also, we are having this AI features available, which is our Copilot. So Copilot is basically a generative AI assistant built into Power BI, Data Factory, and Synapse. So like we do certain research in ChatGPT, we can do the same thing here also. You can ask questions, generate insights, and create certain visuals also, just giving a simple natural language prompt. Even like it helps you to create certain measures, DAX functions also. So you can see how powerful the fabric is.
Ashish, over to you. Ashish would be demonstrating the entire workflow of a fabric model. And as Pooja mentioned, Copilot AI agents are in real trend right now. So the entire backend of the fabric, how it functions, what sort of AI agents are being deployed in the backend. If you can build your own custom agents, the Power BI Copilot agent that we have, all the DAX queries that we really find difficult to understand and formulate at certain point of times. You can see that later on in this session. Over to you, Ashish.
Great. Thanks, Pushkar. Thanks, Pooja, for the the overview on Fabric. So hi everyone, this is Ashish here. I work as a partner solution architect with the GPS team in Microsoft, which stands for Global Partner Solutioning Team. Um, I work as a data and AI partner solution architect, right? And one of the challenges that I typically discuss with partners and through the partners with customers is their challenges related to data and AI, data unification, and making sense of data overall. If you want to really put it that way, right? So that's what I do, and and then Microsoft Fabric is something which is designed for this era of AI and data, right? So just wanted to present a couple of slides and get into the demos of uh, overall Fabric, your data pipelines, your notebooks, and Power BI Copilot and bunch of other things, right? So let me just share my screen. So before that, just wanted to quickly walk you through just a little bit of Dex actually, right? So we know that AI is the talk of the town right now, um, and the LLMs basically bring in a lot of insight that they've learned from their billions and trillions of parameters that they typically advertise, right? But what really is important, and you would have seen this while working with say ChatGPT or Grok or Claude or whatever your preferred AI tool is, that they can only give you the information which they already are exposed to. If they're sourcing clean data, you get clean results. If they're not sourcing the right kind of data, your answers will also be skewed. So ultimately, it's true that AI is transforming the world actually, but data is the actual full fuel that powers your AI experience, models, and everything that you're trying to build. And which brings me to this slide, where there are only 14% of, when we talk about data, right? Privacy, security are very important, pillars of this consideration. And as of today, uh, this data is coming from Gartner actually, right? So only 14% of security leaders are actually, confident that they can effectively secure the data, while also allowing people to use it securely to, achieve the business objects. Um, and the data creation is going to, search from 149 zettabytes in 2024 to over 394 by the time, we reach 2028. So we are talking about, huge amount of data. And you already know, the data is getting harnessed everywhere. It is getting collected everywhere. There are regulations that are coming in. So it's not only the data that is important, it's also the compliance, it's also the governance and the security, which has to be equally the part of consideration when you're trying to modernize your data estate, whether you're doing it for your own company, or we are trying to do it for another customer, or your downstream basically pipeline, right? So this has to be the top of your mind when you're trying to think about it. And this is the reality, right? That you first of all have to figure out that what kind of data do you have, and can it be used to make sense, to basically improve your business. It could be business process, it could be business outcomes, it could be customer engagement, or it could be employee productivity improvement. Whatever you're talking about, you need to understand first what kind of data do you have. The second consideration is that is it trustworthy, right? Can you really trust it? And then do you also have the right kind of access that you can provide to this data, so that they can make the right kind of decisions, right? I mean, not every data is useful for every person in the company. So do you have that understanding? And then what can you do to make sense of that data faster and quicker, so that it actually contributes to the goals that you have set for yourself? And then what do you say, your state of compliance, right? Do you have the right guidelines in place? Are you protecting PII information? Is the data itself secure? And many other considerations, right? And that's where Microsoft Fabric actually comes into the picture. So this is your starting line. If you take a look at the infographic on the picture, right, you have many fragmented and siloed data sources. And then you would also probably will look into very complex and not probably in sync security policies, right? One group has a different policy, the other group has a different policy, your ITsec requires something else, and all the combinations, which also which also contributes, and probably is also a result of your limited visibility into your data, and as well as the compliance challenges that every team basically deals with, right? So you would have many different teams trying to come up with their own process. They're trying to come up with their own ways to collaborate with each other. Every team will have their own requirements, and so on and so forth. It just gets complicated more and more. And the more tools you introduce, the more solutions you introduce into the system, the more complex it becomes, right? And with Fabric, what becomes, Fabric is a SaaS platform that allows you to basically make sense of your siloed data sources. It allows you to set your policies in a flexible and scalable way. And at the same time, it allows you to also monitor, how the data is flowing through. You can take a look at the data lineage. You can, look at how the governance looks like, and you can also integrate Fabric with something like, Microsoft Purview, so that you can get a unified data governance dashboard for all the data sources, right? Now with that, this is my last slide. I'm going to get into demo shortly after this. Actually, just wanted to explain, right? So when you subscribe to Fabric, when you enable Fabric for your organization, right, you create a tenant, and that tenant is organization wide. So for Microsoft.com, there's going to be one tenant, that will be accessible to all the Microsoft employees all over the world. In that tenant, I can create multiple capacities. So these capacities are the ones that we talk about. So when we talk about the billing optimization with Fabric, we talk about capacity. So capacity is comparable to a VM. So if you take a VM on a cloud, any hyper cloud or hosting, you can put anything that you want to install on that VM, and you can use it as long as that capacity permits. When it goes beyond the capacity of CPU, maybe some process will not work. When it goes beyond the memory capacity, some processor will be killed. When it goes beyond the networking thresholds, right, your network request might fail from inside or from outside as well. But with Fabric, the capacity, you can assume that as a VM, but what we also do is that we also allow you this burstable capacity. So when you submit a job, right? Fabric will figure out, that what are the capacity requirements for resource requirements for this particular job, and it will give you those capacity. It will not be limited to your own capacity. Every capacity comes with a burstable factor as well. So what that means is that when you're trying to determine a fabric capacity, you don't really have to look at how many jobs will you run, how many reports are you going to create, how many pipelines will be created, but you'll have to calculate that on the average basis. That this is in a month how my usage is going to look like. It might hit 200% on day one. It might only be 25% on day two, 10% on day three, and so on and so forth, right? So you basically take an average of that usage, and that's the capacity you need. That's how you calculate the fabric capacity, not based on the totality of it. In every capacity, you can create multiple workspaces, and the capacity in workspace allow you to basically distribute, your I mean, it basically allows you to create that orchestration of different teams, different business units, different regions, and all of this combined actually. So that's what you do. And what happens while you're trying to work with all this capacity and multiple different workspaces is that they can all source their data from the same one lake. Now, when we talk about data being the fuel for AI, right? Which also means that you need to have a grip on your data estate, and that data estate can be unified in one lake. So one lake is basically a logical entity for all of the data sources that you bring into your one lake. It could be internal to one lake, it could be external to one lake as well. But that one lake becomes the one single interface for all the workspaces and all the semantic models and pipelines and lake houses and data warehouses to access to source the data. And that actual data resides in the capacity, right? So if you have a capacity to train in central India, all of that data that you're uploading into that capacity will reside in central India. But if you have also have an entity in Singapore and you create another capacity for Singapore, that data will be stored there. But it will not impact the one lake, exposure or that one lake interface that all of these workloads can basically access. So with that, I'm just going to jump into the demos actually, right? Before that, right, it's your AI powered data platform. Open any AI-ready data lake. We talked about this. It also allows you to share your data with business users. So you don't really have to, get in a new tool if you want to, if you want your business users to get the access to the data, which is stored in one lake and, in a fabric or one lake, basically, right? And then with the performance and scalability and the security capabilities that you get from Fabric, you don't really have to, you don't really have to worry about your mission critical foundation. You can control access to data through one lake security. You can do column level access. You can do row level access. You can also do, team based access and many other capabilities. It's just if I started showing you all of that, we will probably, take another day to do this. But with that, I'm just going to end this and I'm going to show you how Fabric basically looks like. So let me share my screen. All right, so this is my Fabric console. Right, you can go to app.fabric.microsoft.com, and that's where you can access your Fabric console. By default, it is publicly accessible, but you can also enable private endpoint. So only your network can access it, and your Fabric tenant is not exposed to the internet at all. In this case, it is. And this is your console is, you can see all of the items that have been created in this, tenant in this particular workspace. This is just one single workspace. In Microsoft, we probably have hundreds of workspaces for different things, right? But this is my workspace, and these are the items I've created. So if you take a look at it, I can create folders. Now these are not file folders, these are the Fabric folders, and in this I can actually store my Fabric items inside this folder. So it allows me to, kind of, logically isolate my Fabric items in a logical view that looks like a folder, so that people understand that this is where I have to go if I'm from the, say, manufacturing unit of my company or something else, right? I can do that. My reports are here, my semantic models are here. Even my Power BI dashboard is here. I can create my notebooks. I can create a lakehouse, warehouse, data agents, data pipeline. Practically every item that you can create in Fabric, can be found here. And what kind of items I can create? These are all. So when it comes to data engineering, I can create my lakehouse, notebooks, environments, my GraphQL API, Spark job definitions, right? The compute in Fabric, the capacity we talked about, right? That includes your Spark compute environment as well. So there's a starter pool that you get. You can also create your own custom pools. So all the notebooks that you create in Fabric are Spark notebooks. And then when it comes to Data Factory, which is my data ingestion integration, component in Fabric, similar to Azure Data Factory, is the same thing basically, but integrated inside Fabric. So I don't really have to pay for ADF separately. I can, if I bought Fabric capacity, I can use the same capacity to run those pipelines as well. So I can do that, Apache Airflow or data pipeline. I can also create Dataflow Gen 2, which is the visual, data pipelining that used to be available in Power BI. Still there is, but now you can also use that inside Fabric. You can also do your data science work inside Fabric. So you can create your ML models. You can create multiple experiments. It can be done through notebooks or even Python notebooks actually, which is in preview right now. And you can set up environments in data warehouse. I can create my data warehouse, which is SQL data warehousing. And again, T-SQL notebooks or databases. I can mirror my Snowflake or SQL database or Oracle or Google BigQuery. All of this is actually visible on the screen. What I can also do now is I can also create SQL databases and Cosmos DB database inside Fabric. And the benefit of doing that inside Fabric is that when you create even Azure SQL database, which is a managed service, you basically are responsible to configure the database, configure the storage, and configure the security settings. But Microsoft Fabric is our secure by default platform for data analytics, right? So the moment you create SQL database or Cosmos DB database within Fabric, it becomes ready in minutes, and it is pre-configured for security and enterprise usability. So that's your USP for these databases inside Fabric. And then since they are leveraging the same Fabric capacity, I understand that based on my usage, based on the capacity that I bought for Fabric from Microsoft or from a partner, this is what I'm going to pay. I don't really have to worry about how much for database, how much for pipeline, how much for Power BI, and things like that. Right. So these are many things. We also have the industry solutions that can be also be built. If you have an IP which integrates with Fabric, you can also expose that workload here, so that it becomes another way for you to monetize your IP within Fabric. And too many things, right? I mean, this is your end-to-end analytics platform. So obviously, all of these capabilities are going to be part of it. So now jumping into that, I just wanted to show you. Sorry. Yeah. So what you also get with Fabric is, this task, flows that you can actually create. So what you see here is a medallion task flow. And it's just nothing but, a graphical representation of, how my medallion, how an ideal, medallion task flow is going to look like if I'm trying to, basically create that architecture for my data analytics. What I can also do is I can also look at, many different data flows. So could be a very general thing, basic data analytics, or a medallion that you already saw on my screen. You can also do basic machine learning models and event medallions. And what selecting along with this also gives you a way that what are the components that will be used, what workloads are recommended, and in those workloads, what are the item types it will actually create for you. And then you can simply click on that block and start adding those items into that. But we're not going to do that today. I'm going to basically show you what I already have. So in this, I've already opened this, right? So this is one of the data pipelines. Now, if you worked with Azure Data Factory, you would know, that Data Factory is nothing but an orchestrator for you to integrate to basically create an integration between multiple different data sources. So, already there's a file here, already a pipeline created. I can basically, go ahead and create a new one as well, right? So let's go ahead and start creating I can use copy assistant, which is basically a wizard for me to, walk through all of that thing. So let's do that, let's give it a try. So these are the 5 steps, I basically have to take. But first of all, connect to data source that I want to copy my data from. Where would I want to, put that data? So that's my destination. And then you do the connection in case there's an authentication that is needed. You do that in the connect step, and then you can save it and run it. So in this case, can I expand it? I cannot. So if there are, I can also use my built-in, all my Fabric item also as a source. So if I'm trying to, I've created a SQL Server database and I want to move that to process that using a notebook, I can do that, by doing that. But I can also, not only the one leg data sources, I can also, connect to all the connectors that are already available for Azure Data Factory as well. So, these are my Azure subscription things. I can create a new source, and that's where I get access to more than 200, 300 connectors, which are already there. So if you take a look at, the connectors, we have SAP HANA, Snowflake, Amazon Redshift, Oracle, Salesforce, and a lot of those things. So I can isolate it for 5 file-based data sources, which are folder, FTP, SFTP, databases of all kinds, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Azure SQL, even DB2 and things like that. I can also connect it to my Dataverse, as a data source, which basically is, business applications like, Microsoft 365 and uh, Office 365 and Microsoft 365 and those kind of things. Or I can connect to Azure services, Synapse or Databricks or Azure Tables. All of this can be, I can copy data from there. I can do the transformation using Azure Data Factory and I can store it in my OneLake, which could go into Lakehouse or Data Warehouse, depending upon what my requirements are. Right, so I'm going to cancel it. And Pooja talked about the AI capability, and I also talked about the AI ready analytics platform, right? So you see this Copilot icon, right? So what I can do is I can basically click on it, and what it is going to do is it is going to give me an overview of what this pipeline does. So I asked this, when I clicked on it, it basically took this question, and it basically saying that there's a step that deletes the old files, then it copies my data from one of the HTTP server, from GitHub to Lakehouse in the new data folder ss.csv, and after that it runs a notebook, which is load cells notebook, and then it saves into someplace, right? So now we have that visibility, right? Let's go back to our workspace, and that was load sales data, I believe, if I remember the name correctly, right? So yeah, so this is my notebook which also runs, and this notebook is basically reading the data from sales table. We're not doing a bunch of stuff. Let me run this code. So it's reading the data from my table called sales, which is in my Lakehouse, which I can also see from here. So this is my Lakehouse view. I can expand my tables here, and there's a table called sales, right? And then I can also see what are the files in my Lakehouse, which are again, um, you say it's a typical file and folder kind of a structure, right? So we read the data. There's an error, which happens, right? What I can do is, I can basically invoke Copilot, and I can simply say, help me with this error. Now you could also do this, with say ChatGPT, but the difference is, that you'll have to copy your code there. It will give you a suggestion. You'll have to bring that code here and then run it. In this case, it is running in the context, so it has access to your cell block here. It knows, what code it is here. It will try to figure out if there are any errors, in this code, and it will try to basically you give the suggestion right in there. So you can accept it or you can discard it. I'm going to discard it because if demo works, I can't demo this capability. So I'm going to keep it as it is. We saw the lakehouse, we saw the files also. What also is there is my warehouse as well, right? So I can open this data and I'm going to see a lot of tables there. And I can run my queries. So we've got a lot of queries here. This is simple. So if you're comfortable, not with notebooks, not with PySpark and those kind of things, if you're comfortable with SQL, just go ahead and start working on it as if it's another SQL based database. Let's jump into the next demo. So this is one of my notebooks which I've already run because this step takes a little bit of time actually. So in this we loaded the required libraries to to load Copilot, and that's why I was able to use it in the other notebook. So when I'm running a notebook, right, there's a compute that gets provisioned in the backend. It's on demand, and all of my notebooks, which I'm running at that point of time or before that compute shuts down, the notebooks use that same compute. So I don't really have to spin up separate compute for each of my notebooks. So in this case, we are basically creating a schema. We are reading this CSV file from files order CSV, right, which I can actually go and see here. So under the files, I will have an orders folder, and in that orders folder, I will have a bunch of files. It's not showing it here, but it will be. It's reading all of the data and it's loading it. So that's what the data that you see here, right? And what we are doing is basically we are just doing a little bit of calculations here. So what we are doing here is that tell me how many customers and emails and their emails who basically have bought this item. So these are the people and these are their email IDs. I can feed it to another pipeline and do whatever I want to do with this. And this is where I'm actually basically calculating the total quantity for given products. What are the items and what are the quantities of that in that data? That's what I did here. And this is where I'm basically calculating the yearly sales based on that data. Let's take a look at this data, right? I mean, I have my order date, but there's no total here, right? So I was able to do that calculation in this notebook using this, PySpark, commands, and then, I mean, that's not the only thing I can do since Spark notebooks, right? But what I can also do is, I can actually, use SQL also using, Spark SQL. I can, run SQL queries also, but that's not the only thing. I can also run SQL queries inside my notebook. And I think I probably will have some information here, right? So if you see, right, I'm basically running SQL commands in my notebook, which is ideally a PySpark notebook, but I was able to run SQL command also. We are basically doing the same things using SQL commands now. And since, I mean, I can load any of the Python libraries, I can use something like matplotlib to create my charts. I can use, something like Seaborn also. So not limited to, what matplotlib. I can use any library for any purpose that I deem fit for my data, to work with my data, to create insights out of that data, right? So I can do that. Now, so that was that. Now quickly jumping into the AI functions. Now this is another capability that we recently added. It's in preview. So in this case, what happens is that you basically can load the built-in model that the Copilot uses. The Fabric Copilot I'm talking about, right? So you can use that same model, which in this case is GPT-3.5 Turbo, and I can use that to perform AI analysis of my data. So what I'm doing in this case, I'm actually loading a CSV file from one of the GitHub repositories, and this is how that data looks like. So it's a hotel reviews. So you will see hotel names, which city, which country, and then you will also have the review text that people have left. So this is the column called reviews text, and this is the data that it looks like. And what I'm doing now is that I've loaded that data in a Spark data frame, and in that I'm calling my analyze sentiment function on the reviews text column, and I'm creating a new column called sentiments. So this code has already run, and if I select one of the records, right? So this is my review text, right? It says, pleasant 10 minutes walk, restaurants are closer, breakfast was good, but the room aircon didn't work, which means, it's not extremely positive. So the AI, the sentiment analysis function in the, AI function is basically reviewed as, has analyzed it to be a mixed thing. I can select this review, right? This overall is, it's positive. Actually, there's no negative that they mentioned. So this is coming as, positive. There's also a negative thing. It was okay hotel, nice from, in and out, but room was small. We paid for double bed and they attached to single bed. So, a lot of issues there, right? So it's a negative review, and that's what I was able to do. But that's not the only thing I could do. I mean, I was doing this in the code, right? I can also do that from the UI also. So the moment you load the AI tools, you also get an AI, menu, and from there you can do all of these things. You can calculate similarity between text. You can categorize text into classification kind of a thing, right? In this case, we are looking at review. So categorization probably doesn't make sense. I can still do categorization positive and negative mixed actually, right? But sentiment analysis is a better thing. I can extract entities, in case I'm looking for that kind of information. Are people talking about a specific place or a bus route or, airports and things like that? I can fix grammar in case, that's my requirement. I can summarize, I can translate. But if these solutions are, these built-in functions are not helping me, I can use my own custom prompt because it's powered by the same GPT model, right? So I can create my own function here. I can, add my custom prompt and I can, do whatever I want to do with this data. So not limited to the built-in functions, I can create my own AI function that suits my requirements, and I can just go ahead with it. And I just realized, that we are at 4:50, so I'm going to quickly jump into the Power BI and Copilot demo. So this is one of the reports that I have. So I've got store sales review, I've got district monthly sales, I've got new stores. These are 3 different pages, many different visuals, right? But imagine, that I don't really know what this report is about, and I want to use Copilot to give me an overview. So what I can do is I can simply open Copilot, which is here. And once it loads, I can say, I can either ask about this particular page, or I can simply say, that summarize the visuals on this report. So it is going to look into all these pages, all the visuals on these pages. It will look at the data and it will work its magic. This is a capacity which is shared across all the Microsoft employees, right? So you don't know how many people are working on it. So the more optimized your capacity is, the better your experience is going to be. But Microsoft is all about experimentation, so we don't really know. Now, if you see, right, this basically is giving me a comprehensive overview of all the store sales by all of this thing, right? So monthly sales performance, overall sales, sales by district, sales by chain, by store type, by category, new store performance, and all of that stuff. And all of this is also given by it also gives you the footnotes, that where this data is coming from, right? So in this case, if I click on this, this is the visual that it actually sourcing the data from. Right, this data is coming from this page and this particular visual, right? And the sales variance is coming from here. Now this one is a calculated insight. So if you take a look at this number 8, it gives me a name, total sales variance visual. If I click on this, it gives me detailed info which is coming from new store page, but this one is a calculated insight, which means that it is not there in the visuals mentioned explicitly, but the Copilot was able to look into the data, underlying data of that particular page or the visual, and it was able to calculate that the store sales were significantly higher at I think 19,600,000 compared to new store sales at 2 million. So yeah, I mean, same store sales were higher and new stores were selling less, kind of makes sense. New stores, so they will obviously have lower sales, right? So I can do that. It gives me that information. Now what I can do is, let's go to the new stores page. And let me ask this question. List the top fashions direct by sales performance. So in this page, I've got my fashion direct stores, right? It's a chain actually, right? So I'm going to basically ask give me top 5. I can see it here, but I have Copilot, so let's do that. Just give me all that information. These are the 5 ones that are top. Now I can go and let's try to apply a filter, right? So let me go back. So we had Charleston Fashions Direct at the top. So let's go here and not this one, sorry. Let's go to the store name, sorry. So I'm going to select everything except the Charleston. Do you see that here? I'm looking at the wrong thing. Actually, it's coming from this page. So I'm applying the filter on the wrong page. Let's go to this page, go to this one. Oh, okay. I mean, okay, I think, let's skip that part. It should be here. Let me give it a try once again. Store type is new store, which is fine. Open month is also fine. Do I see Charleston here? I don't. Okay, that's okay. In the spirit of moving ahead, let me just. I mean, what I was trying to showcase, that when I apply the filter, the same result will actually give me the information which is based on the filter data and not on the source data. So it's aware of what you're doing on the page, what you're excluding, and what you're actually really trying to do. So while you can see it visually, you can also query the Copilot and get that information as well. This is only about the querying data, right? What I can also do is, I can actually click on this edit button, and now we can use, this is my data model, right? Sales, district, items, store, and time. What I can also do is I can use Copilot to create, my report as well. So now this is useful, but I probably want something else. So let's ask Copilot to give us a suggestion. Suggest content for a new report page. And it's going to give me some suggestions. I can do sales performance, overall sales performance, total sales, sales variance, and sales per square foot, and things like that. I can do store analysis. I can do all of it, but I have to start somewhere, right? Gross margin analysis or sales by item category. Let's put a custom prompt, which basically is create a page to examine sales trends across different territories, comparing current year sales with last year sales, and explain the prompt. Okay, sorry, that was from my demo. The last is not a part of the thing. But yeah, this is what it actually is doing now. So, I gave it a prompt and it's created a new page in my report, which is sales trends by territory, right? And I can say, explain the data on this page. And I think, yeah, so, we got the, information here, right? It explains things like that. And, with that, I think we are really at the top of the hour. So I'm going to stop sharing my demos. I had too much to share anyway, but I'm going to